Well, good morning. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Really glad you could join me today out here in the vegetable garden. It's a beautiful day here in early spring. In fact, next week is May 15th and it's our last frost date. So today I wanted to share with you some tips and ideas on how you can direct sow Royal Burgundy beans in your vegetable garden. So thanks for joining me today. So I ended up buying these beans from a local Ace hardware store, and the company is Ferry Morse. It was $1.78 for a pack of these seeds, and they're also a container variety. And what's nice about these beans is that they're a bush variety, so you can grow them in containers. You don't need to worry about growing or installing a trellis in your garden. And you know, behind every pack they always give you some helpful information. So let's take a minute here and read the information here. It says a superior stringless round purple pod bush variety. Pods are smooth and straight and the bush habit is more erect. Pods turn green when cooked. And days to germinate is 6 to 8 days. You want to plant them about anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Spacing, you know, rows 20 inches apart, and then once the seedlings pop up, their heads out of the soil, you want to thin them to about 4 inches apart. And then the harvest time is, days to harvest is 51 to 55 days. And you also want to sow these after danger of frost. And so it's pretty warm here in Pennsylvania, and so although our frost dates last week, there didn't seem to be any danger of frost. Plus they'll be in the ground for, you know, a couple inches. And then you know, another option too is you can soak your seeds overnight in warm water. And then here it also says thin when plants are a few inches tall. Pick early and often to encourage production. Well, anyhow, let me show you how easy it is to direct sow these seeds in the garden. So right behind me is where I'm going to be planting these. So I'm going to be planting these, or direct sowing these seeds right here in this 4-foot by 8-foot raised bed. You know, I have 3 raised beds here. They're 4 foot wide by 32 feet long and divided into 4 8-foot sections. And then I also fill this is my composted leaf mulch that's amended with topsoil. I buy that locally from Barnside Farms. I get anywhere from 5 to 10 yards per year. And it's a certified weed-free compost, so it's nice. I don't have any weeding to do throughout the garden season. And also when you plant these string beans here, you want to make sure that they get a good, you know, 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. You know, anything that has a root or a fruit, you want 6 to 8 hours of sun. Anything like a leafy green, your kale, your spinach, your Swiss chard, you want to make sure that you get at least 4 to 6 hours of sun for them. And so anyhow, we're going to have plenty of sun here when we go to direct sow these seeds. I also work through my soil with my garden fork so that the soil is nice and loose. So you just want to make sure your soil is nice and loose. Work through it with your garden fork. You know, that way, you know, if your soil is nice and loose, your root system will reach far and wide, you know, resulting in a healthier, stronger plant that'll yield more fruit. And so, and you know, I also amended this soil with some of my alfalfa pellets, and that's going to add nice organic nutrients to the soil. And then here in front of me I also have like a 6-foot, it's like a 1x2 that I use and to mark my rows. I'm going to come back about 6 inches from the edge, rock it back and forth, That'll mark one row, and then I'm going to eyeball about 20 inches and come back this way, rock it back and forth. And then I'm simply just going to take my hand, and since my soil's so loose, I always like using my hand sometimes because I tend to lose my trowels, and so the hand works really well. Just run it down here. And then simply just open your pack of seeds up. Sometimes they don't open up as easy as you'd like. A piece of paper there. And so anyhow, these are nice big seeds, so they're easy to plant. So I'm just going to put a handful in my hand here, and I'm going to plant these about 2 inches apart. That way if one doesn't germinate. And then you're simply just going to lay these right in the soil. You also want to make sure that your soil's nice and fine. You know, you don't want to be backfilling this in chunks. You know, I always think of a nice fine plush top mattress, you know, when I put these seeds in the ground. You can also push them in the ground a little bit, heel them in a little. Again, these beans are something really easy to grow in your garden, and they're just delicious and tasty. I also like eating them right off the vine. Another one of my favorite things to do. You can just push them right in the soil. And one more down there. And then you can simply just take your hand again, make sure there's no big clumps, and then just push it back over. You could use a small rake or a hoe if you prefer. Also, you want to make sure you mark your ends of your rows. So I take a rock here and just lay that on each end before you backfill. And then I'm just going to take my hand and pack it down here. And then I'm going to finish doing this other row here. I also like to cover these seeds with a remnant piece of my spun bonded polyester. So I have a piece set up right here. And so, you know, this will keep the birds off your seeds, the critters, and protect them from heavy rains. And even when they come up for an inch or two, the seedlings out of the ground, you know, these covers will float up with them for a while. But obviously, once they get a couple inches tall, you might want to remove the cloth. And you also want to anchor it down good so that the winds don't take it off, take it away. And then lastly, you want to just water these in real good. And you really want to make sure you keep your seed bed nice and moist during the germination period. I can't emphasize that enough. It's really important to do that. And this is my handy dandy favorite watering can that I got last year from Ace Hardware. Someone recently asked me where I bought this from because I did a video on this specifically, but for 20 bucks I think it was right around 20. I really like it. It's nice design, holds a couple gallons of water, and I like the copper color that it has. So anyhow, that's pretty much what it takes to plant these Royal Burgundy beans, and we're really looking forward to harvesting these in about a couple months, 50 days or more. And again, keep them well watered. And so anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the section below. And you can also visit us at plantsmartliving.com. And there you can learn more about gardening and also how you can reclaim your health by adopting a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. So anyhow, I hope you have a wonderful day today. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.